How I decided to get a neck lift in my 30s and why I decided to do that instead of anything else. Hi guys, I am so excited to share this with you. I wanted to wait to make this video until I was a little bit more healed, but I pray that this gives you so much guidance, confidence, and helps you make a decision that took me a long time to make. So in this video, I'm gonna go through as much as I can, everything about the procedure, the day before, the day of the procedure, the after, exactly what I asked for, why I decided to do this. All these questions will be answered in this video. So make sure to subscribe to my channel, and also I hope that this video informs you. If you guys have any more questions, please leave it in the comments below. Okay. To start, I am 3 months post. I will put some photos here. So this is just like the post. I mean, it's so clean. Like there's literally nothing here. It's truly a dream. Start, it took me a really long time to decide that I wanted to do something this drastic. I have always held a lot of weight in my chin and jaw area. I was an overweight kid, and I just remember as a really young kid I literally had a double chin. So when I lost a lot of my weight, I always had a little bit of loose skin here, and I think some of it was also genetic because my sister has that, my mom has that. I always just had a little bit of an insecurity about my side profile, and that kind of led me to go more of an aesthetic route to try to tighten this area. And basically in 2023, and I posted this on my Instagram story, just had gotten married. I remember at the time I was very insecure about my side profile, and it was right after our wedding, and I had basically like had ClassPass points. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but I had ClassPass points and had some extra points, and there was this like aesthetic thing that I could go get done, and it basically was a skin tightening procedure. So I was like, well, I have these extra points, might as well go get this procedure done. And so I went to this aesthetic clinic, and I will put photos like at the time when I had decided to get this done. And the reason that I'm sharing this is I want to share what happened to me and why I ended up going the surgical route with this, and why I kind of stopped doing all aesthetic stuff. But basically, so this was the day that I got it done. This was a month later, okay? So you can see the difference there, right? Basically what had happened was I went in and got radio frequency done on my neck. There's so many different types of radio frequency out there. There's Morphus 8, which has been shown to be negative, honestly. Like a lot, it really affects a lot of people. You have skin tightening for a little bit, but then it actually makes your skin looser and you like lose collagen and stuff. And that's what happened to me. I didn't get Morphus 8, but I got this neck contouring thing, and basically they took this heated device. It was like a contouring stick or something, and they went into this area for an hour, like just fully neck tightened, whatever. And I remember right after I was like, oh, this, I don't really think I noticed any different. I remember that I felt that my fat was burned in this area, but I didn't really notice too much of a tightening effect. I had lost a lot of elasticity in my neck, and the skin that was tightened for a moment ended up getting really loose. I think what had happened was there was fat in that area that maybe had been burned off, and then I don't know, but there was a big drastic difference from before and after I did radio frequency. And I think a lot of times with aesthetic stuff, it's like a quick fix, and it actually can make things worse over time. And I also want to talk quickly about like Botox, because I started getting masseter Botox in my jaws because I have pretty bad TMJ, and I think it did assist in me having these almost like early jowling also. I don't know if that was from the radio frequency or if it was from the Botox, but I just kind of decided, I was like, I cannot do any more of these aesthetic quick fix things that cost like hundreds of dollars to do, but they're not a long-term effect. Back in 2023, I remember that's when I started trying to figure out what was going on. I honestly didn't put the two together until right before I actually just got my surgery, I was like, when did this actually start happening to my face, where I was noticing this early sagging and jowling, and it started getting progressively worse. Like, even my husband was like, this is weird, you know, like, he obviously loved me anyway that I was, but he noticed that it was getting progressively worse over the years. And so in 2023, I started looking for surgical options to get this fixed. And everyone that I had talked to, I talked to maybe like 3 or 4 doctors over the phone, and every single person was like, unfortunately, like, lipo's not gonna help, this isn't gonna help, you're gonna have to get a neck lift. And I was like, I'm not getting a neck lift, I'm 31, this is so weird. No, I'm not doing that. And also, the cost of a neck lift was just so out of my range. I started calling people in LA, and the range was like 20 to 30,000. I was like, I'm not doing that. There's no way. I don't know how I could do that. So I basically put it off for over 2 years. And I just remember throughout those 2 years, I had gone, I don't know, getting a facial, or I would try to get some other skin tightening things done, and every single practitioner that I went to, like an aesthetic practitioner, they were like, unfortunately, there's nothing that you can do. The only way to go about fixing this is getting a surgical thing done. It was pretty discouraging to me, to be honest. I was like, this sucks. This is just not something I can do, and it's just something I'm gonna have to live with, and I'm okay with it. Like, I love the way that God had made me, but I think it was hard for me because I recognized that this was not the way that it was supposed to be, I think, because I had done something that I had no knowledge about, which was the radio frequency, and it did something bad to my face, and then I was facing the repercussions of that, and I don't think that was my natural design for that area of my face at my age, personally. But I also know that some of it was genetic, and I'll go into that as well, because I know that a lot of people watching this might have like that genetic thing. But I just felt like mine was really extreme for my age, my weight, my amount that I exercise, etc, etc, etc. Fast forward into 2025, early January 2025, I ended up seeing a video by this creator, I'll put her right here, and I just remember seeing her video and feeling, wow, that is exactly what I want. And it was the first person that I saw that was around my age. I actually think she's in her 20s, that had gotten a neck lift. And then I also saw this creator as well do it as well. Her neck lift she did in LA, and it was like $30,000. So I was like, okay, this is not something that I could do, but it was cool to see people my age talking about this, because I had never seen that. I only thought neck lifts were people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, which, again, it doesn't matter how old you are. I think now, coming out of it, it's what, if you want to get done, like, it's okay and you're allowed to get it done. So I had to break that stigma. But I just remember seeing her videos in specific that really sparked my attention because of the cost, and so I'll go into that as well. But I remember seeing her videos, and she went to this doctor, and the cost was really, to me, it was a good cost for something like that, because even aesthetic treatments like can go $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, lipo's like $4,000, and it's not a long-term fix. So to me, the price that she had quoted that she got this done, I was like, that's actually pretty reasonable. And I ended up calling the surgeon that she went to in January 2025, which was Peak Plastic Surgery in Utah. I called them, I talked to them over the phone, I tried to get around everything. I was like, I don't want to do anesthesia, I don't want to do this, I just wanted something really easy. And the doctor was just like, look, I also explained to him my jowling, and he was saying that it was a salivary gland that was like sitting here, which makes sense because I used to feel these when I would swallow. I would feel them. That's how big they were, and they were protruding, and it was causing this jowling look. So I don't know if it was from the radio frequency and it maybe burned too much fat in that area, and so I had more noticeable like of those glands. But anyways, so we started having these conversations. I was like, oh, this is a lot, you know, I don't know if I want to do a whole thing where I'm under anesthesia and everything. And so basically in January 2025, I kind of just left it, and I didn't think about it. really. I just was like, I don't want to do this. Fast forward into September 2025, I think, yeah. I ended up going on I went on a trip to Bali. I just felt that this area was still bothering me a lot. Again, I'm an actor, and so I'm constantly filming myself, okay? And there was a couple incidences as well where Tyler and I had filmed a YouTube video, and I would not let him post it because I just hated my side profile. I was really I just felt that it wasn't me, and I just really didn't like it, and I felt really insecure about it, if I'm being honest. And I hate sharing this because I do love my body and I love the way that the Lord created me, but in the same regard, I just did not feel like the way that looked represented how I saw myself. So I remember going on this trip, and before the trip, I was dealing with a lot of fear. And traveling really does something too. When you go and travel and go around the world, you have to go on multiple flights, you're taking motorcycles, cars, like all these things, right? It breaks off, for me, it broke off a lot of fear that I was carrying just in life in general. And so when I came back, I remember seeing a couple videos that Tyler took of me during the trip, and I just told him, I was like, I have to get my neck done. I just feel that this is the time, this is the place, I need to get this done. So I ended up recalling Peak Plastic Surgery because I just felt a lot of peace about going with them, and I had done so much research, guys. Like, I was on like Reddit forums, every Google page, anything that I could find about this doctor, I was looking it up. Again, they're also, I think, not like a celebrity doctor, but they work with people that are in that Mormon show. And so I was suspicious about it because there was forums like basically saying that they were bad or all this stuff. But everything that I saw about Dr. Grenner specifically was so positive. He even did cleft like reconstruction for kids that have cleft lips and stuff like that, and he just seemed like a very detailed doctor. And when I started researching his specific neck stuff, every person that I had saw that he did was either young or just really had amazing results. So I ended up calling them, and they quoted me, basically it was like $8,000, I think $500 or something. And the other creator that I had followed, she I think paid around $7,500. So if you guys are interested in this procedure with Peak Plastic, I would reach out to them because I honestly don't know their costs. I think it varies. Maybe you could say, I saw this video, I don't know, maybe they'll give you a discount, I have no idea. But I would just message them. But that was the quote that I was quoted with anesthesia and the operational costs. And then at the time, Tyler and I were looking into, you could use a cherry payment plan where you basically sign up and you get like a credit line, and they use cherry. So we were like, okay, this could be a really great option for us. And when I had called, they basically had one appointment available that was like 3 weeks from the date that I called. It was the perfect amount of time because I was also on this medication, and the medication that I was on, you couldn't go under anesthesia. So it was like exactly the amount of time that I stopped the medication that I had the appointment set to do the surgery. And so I just said, you know what? I came back from this trip, I had no fear. I was like, I'm gonna book this. So I literally booked it, and that was that. Tyler and I decided to drive from LA to Utah, and we rented an Airbnb, and I'll walk you guys through the whole procedure, so walk you through the recovery. So that was the cost. I know a lot of people were asking about that. Also, the procedure that I got was called a deep plane neck lift, okay? The reason that I decided to do that compared to anything else was because, to me, all the research that I had done had the most success rate for a long-term goal, and it was a pretty easy procedure. My doctor explained it as something that it was like you're going literally under to go get your teeth done. Like, that's how easy it was. And I only have one incision scar here. They didn't rip like back my neck. It was pretty easy, and that's why I went with it. So it's called a deep plane neck lift, and I went with Dr. Grinner in Peak Plastic Surgery. So I'm gonna walk you guys through exactly how that process went, when we drove up there, how long I stayed, the drive home, all these things. Okay guys, I'm back. Sorry, my camera died, so I was like, I don't want to keep going, but I'm back, and I want to talk about my process of going to the surgery center, the surgery, and also the after. So my healing and all that stuff. Tyler and I drove from LA to Utah. It took us around 9 hours, and we decided to do that because we took our dogs with us, and I honestly just didn't want to fly. It didn't make sense for me personally. But we drove to Utah. We stayed in a pretty cheap little Airbnb thing, and I got there the day, I think it was I got there 2 days before the surgery, because we ended up getting there really late at night, and I wanted like a full day to chill before getting surgery. I also had never gotten surgery. I had only done my wisdom teeth, which I guess is not actually anesthesia the way that they do it with surgery. My doctor had said that when you go under anesthesia at the dentist, you're actually not awake, but they can have you do stuff like open your mouth. I was completely out during this, and so also I want to say that I was very, very scared of the anesthesia. I think I was more scared of the anesthesia than anything else, and I'm one of those people that I want to do as much research as I can and see all the bad stories, the good stories, so I feel the most confident going into something like that. I know what I'm doing, and so I did a lot of research about anesthesia, and I felt pretty confident going into it. The day before, we kind of chilled. I ended up going to the doctor's office. I think, actually, did I? No, I was supposed to, but I didn't. And then the next day was surgery day. I woke up. I was really nervous, okay? I was so scared, but I knew that I just had to do it and kind of black out and get it done. Which is a weird thing to say, but I knew that I had committed this to myself, and I knew that this was something that I really wanted to do, and I felt a lot of peace on. And honestly, I am not a plastic surgery person. I am very personally against altering your body, like getting my boobs done, or they had wanted to do a chin, like push out my chin, and I felt that I didn't want to alter my body. The thing that I was doing was fixing something that had gone wrong, and so helping myself in the future for aging purposes and stuff. So I felt like, if anything, I was not altering myself, but I was fixing something that was bad. Not bad, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so this day of surgery, I ended up going into the surgery center. If you guys end up going to Dr. Grinner, it's so beautiful. I mean, I thought it was beautiful. I haven't been to a ton of surgery centers, but it felt very homey, and his office is upstairs and then the surgery center is downstairs, so it's kind of all connected. And when I got there, I went upstairs. I took some photos of my before, which I'll put here if I can. I don't know if it lets me put a video here, but I think it should. And this was kind of what I was dealing with before, and then I went downstairs. They took my weight, and I went into this little room. I just remember, like, even talking about it makes me anxious, but I was so anxious, and I'll put a little video also here of me just, you can see literally like all of that right there is gone. I was so nervous, and I just knew it was something that I had to do, and thankfully I had Tyler there and God with me to kind of help chill me out. But Tyler was like, "Are you ready to do this?" And I was like, "No, I actually don't want to do this right now, but I'm doing it." I ended up meeting with Dr. Grinner. We talked a little bit, kind of made me feel a little bit more comfortable. And also, prior to the surgery, he told me everything that was going to be done. So I was getting my salivary glands shaved down. I was getting this fat pad that was right here removed, which would make my skin go up because I'm still pretty young, so I still have some elasticity in my skin. And then he also took a little bit of muscle off my platysma band, which is that muscle thing like that, and then he also tightened that area as well. And I think that's it. And so I ended up talking to him for like 20 minutes, and then came the anesthesiologist, which I talked to for a while because I was truly so nervous about the anesthesia, but he was so nice, and that was about 20 minutes. I was like, are you sure you want to take me back, type of thing. And then he ended up taking me back, which was really scary. I remember seeing Tyler's face, and I had never seen him be nervous like that, but he was truly nervous, and I was just like, bye. And it was just me, this like little thing, walking with this guy was like super tall, and I was just like, he had to say a prayer, and I went back into the operating room. I walk into this huge room with like a bed in the room, and there's all these doctors and stuff, and they like lay me down in this bed, and basically the nurse starts talking to me, they're doing stuff, and I just remember being like, oh, you're just trying to distract me, right? She was asking me so many questions. And during that time, he had poked me with a needle. I have no idea. I'm guessing it was the anesthesia. I don't know. Poked me with a needle. So within 3 minutes, I was basically started to just be like, yeah, so anyways, like, you know. And I just remember the only scary thing that happened to me personally was when he poked me with the anesthesia, I have pretty chronic like back and neck pain. And I think I have scoliosis. So anyways, so when he did that, I started feeling really bad neck pain. It was extreme, and I was like, why does my neck hurt so bad? And I just remember seeing all the doctors, and they were like, what's going on? And I asked the nurse, I was like, can you massage my neck as I'm passing out under anesthesia? So she crawls on top of me, she's massaging my neck. I was like, ugh, and then I just passed out. And then obviously I woke up a few hours later. It's funny because a lot of people say anesthesia doesn't, you feel like you're gone for 15 minutes. I felt like I was gone for 4 days, honestly, like 4 years. I felt like I was in a different place for a long time. And then when they woke me up in the, after the operating room, I don't know what it's called, pre-op, I guess, post-op or whatever, I woke up, Tyler wasn't in there, so he wasn't allowed in there. I was out of my mind, just like, what's happening? So confused. I remember talking to the nurses being like, can you guys get Tyler? He's so nice. Where's my husband? He's so nice. I just kept saying, where's my husband? He's so nice. Like, can you go find him? And then I think I remember asking one of the ladies if she was like a Christian or something. I don't know. I was really out of my mind. So basically that was that. They end up wheeling me out to Tyler. I'm hysterically crying after I see Tyler. I was very emotional about it. And he took me home, and then after that I actually was super awake. I just had this wrap on my head. I'll try to post photos. And I had this wrap and these drains, and I had to have that on for 24 hours. And then the next day I went back into Dr. Grenner's office, and that's when they took off the wrap, and I'll post that as well. And I was really shocked. I remember when he took off the wrap, first of all, I was nervous because I just had no idea what to expect, to be honest, at all. I had no expectations. All I knew was I know that this was something that I had to do. And when he took off the wrap, I was in shock because it was 20 million times better than I thought it could ever be. And it was actually gone, this thing that bothered me so much that I had looked in the mirror so many millions of times, and it was just gone. It was like healed in that moment. And I just was really overwhelmed by that. And I think when you have some type of insecurity or whatever, if it's an insecurity or something, and you think about it so much, like for me, because again, I'm an actor, so I'm constantly thinking about the way my face looks, especially my side profile and stuff. It was something that I thought about every single day. And I think just the amount that it was sagging and stuff like that, it was really affecting me every single day mentally. And so to not have to think about that ever again was really a weight off my shoulders in a weird way, and not have to be like, oh, I need to get this fixed, or I need to get an aesthetic thing, or I need to do this. It was just like, I never have to think about this again. And I was so grateful for that. And so again, I feel like this probably sounds really crazy to some people, but this is just what was going on through my mind. And so yeah, after he took off the wrap, he ended up wrapping my head with this thing that I had to wear for about 7 days. So I'll talk about the post-op and then we'll be done. And if you guys have any questions, you can post them below. So basically takes off the wrap. I had zero pain, by the way, this whole entire time. Like, I was not in pain. The biggest thing was uncomfortability. I was taking pain pills for uncomfortability, like sleeping, and you have to sleep up for about a week. You have to wear the wrap for about a week, and I think that whole thing is pretty uncomfortable. But uncomfortable meaning just like not your normal, and it's something that you have to do that's not your normal. So after he took off the wrap, he wrapped me with the white thing, and then basically I was good to go. He's like, you're good to go. So that day, I thought I was not gonna eat for like 4 days, but I was eating, bro. I was like, we're gonna get food. So I went, we got food. Like, I called my mom, I cried. I was just ecstatic. And then we actually, so surgery, next day got my wrap removed, and then the next day after that we were driving home. So it was pretty quick, and the drive home was pretty easy. I mean, I was like on pain meds, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And after that, the biggest thing for me was just swelling. Like, I'll try to put some photos here as well. I was so swollen, and that lasted for around 6 days, where I actually called the doctor. I was like, am I okay? Because this is pretty swollen still. And they were like, you just have to keep using your wrap. And then I think around day 7, I started seeing it go down and down and down. And then within 10 days, I was at my sister's bridal shower. And within 2 weeks, I was at her wedding, or 3 weeks, I was at her wedding. And I now am 3 months post-op, and I'm literally so beyond happy with my results. Main concerns that I had was the swelling, but after that it subsided and I have the most natural results. I mean, again, I feel like, sorry, Tyler's in the background doing something, but I feel like this just looks so natural. And if somebody is seeing this video and they've just been on the fence about doing something like this, I would say it's absolutely worth it. Like, times 1,000% worth it. I am so grateful that I did this, and I say every day to Tyler, I am so grateful that I got this done, because it's just not something that I have to think about anymore and I have to be concerned about or whatever. And oh yeah, something I did want to touch on was when I talked to the doctor, he said that I told him about the radio frequency thing. He was like, I don't know. But he did say that it was partially genetic. And so for me, regardless of like anything with age, I was going to have this area to be sagging. And so it was a benefit for me to get it done early when I'm young. And I was able to kind of cut that out. And with age, it obviously, like, it's not going to be perfect, but at least it's been addressed in a way. So anyways, that's basically it. If you guys have any more questions or comments or thoughts or whatever, please leave them down below. And I pray that this story helped somebody maybe possibly make this decision. If I would say anything, again, I truly believe this is a decision that you have to make with yourself, with God, with your maybe possibly spouse. But it is the best decision, other than following God and marrying my husband, that I've ever made. And just super, super grateful, and so grateful for Peak. And again, the reason that I decided to go with Peak compared to every other surgeon was price and the results. Like, the results that I was seeing for people my age were just so great that to me, I knew that it was going to be worth it. I've had no complications. I feel great. Anyways, I will say that one big thing for me was I was scared to talk about this, because I feel like, given my age, it's not something that people normally do. But I think that it is a conversation that is meant to have. So I wanted to create this video to make somebody else feel less alone if they're feeling like they want to get something like this done. And I did get a lot of messages about it from my videos that I posted around it. So I want you guys to know that you're not alone. I got my doggy here. She's so cute. This is Coda. Say hi. Hi, Coda. She loves me. So cute. Okay. Take care of yourself. Merry Christmas. If you're seeing this way past Christmas, then Happy New Year or whatever. And I love you guys. Please ask any questions, subscribe, DM me, whatever you guys want. Love you so much. Bye.